This week on Handyman Corner, we're going to show you a fabulous lawn and garden instrument, the leaf blower. Now, to me, the leaf blower is the greatest invention since chainsaw or duct tape. Well, not counting twist-off caps. Now, this is too long. We only need a few feet of this, so I'm going to cut this with some tin snips, but I need to drill a pilot hole first. So I'll just snug her up in the vise and start the pilot hole here. Maybe I can think of a smarter way to do this. No. I know what it is. This is metal, and I'm using a wood bit on this. Gosh. I should be using a saw. Okay, now we're going to need something to blow air. Now, I would suggest Old Man Sedgwick, but I do have the environment to think of. So instead, I recommend one of these deals here. This is one of these hot air dryers that you see in a washroom at a restaurant. You know, I mean, restaurants are always going out of business. You can pick one of these up real cheap. Or if you really want to save a bundle, you can go into a self-serve gas station and just serve yourself. So first thing we got to do with this before we can use it is we got to disconnect the heater. So, lift the cover off there and... Oh, boy, it's like a computer in there. Oh, no, this will be the heater connection here. Yeah, that's got it. Okay, we'll pop that back on. And we're ready for our final assembly. Just smooth it right down, and there you have it. You're ready for autumn. You got your very own one-of-a-kind homemade leaf blower. So remember, until next time, if the women don't find you handsome, they should at least find you handy. What the heck? This week on Handyman Corner, I'm going to show you something you can do with an old fridge that's lost what it takes to keep your butter hard. You know, an old fridge like this, I'll tell you something, you'd have to pay a scrap dealer to haul this thing away. But we're going to turn it into something that no junk dealer would touch. A gentleman's armoire. All right, first thing we got to do is we got to disconnect the refrigeration unit here. All righty. Now we'll just pry all this stuff off the back. Now we have a little problem here. There's a gas in this, it's called Freon. Now this is a gas that has no smell. We don't see a lot of that up at the lodge. But the problem with it is that once this stuff cuts loose, it goes way up into the atmosphere and takes out the ozone layer or something like that. So we gotta be very careful and try and capture all the gas as soon as it escapes. So here's what we do. We'll just, first of all, break the seal. All right, now very quickly. You know, if everybody did that, the Earth would be a heck of a lot better place to live, I'll tell you that. Now we're just going to gently remove the pump unit on the bottom there. Alrighty. My golly, she's really on there. So now we got her. And what do we have to do to turn it into a gentleman's armoire? Diddly squat. You got your ties in the door there. You got a shelf for your shirts. You got a shelf for your pants. You got a shelf for other things that you don't like to describe in public. You keep your underwear and the cheese, keep her over here. Keep your socks in the vegetable crisper. You might want to throw a box of baking soda in there. You got all your clothes handy and just ready for you to use. And look what we got up here in the freezer. Your very own haberdashery. You know, Harold says teenagers like to wear cool clothes. Well, how much cooler can you be than have your clothes in the fridge? Personally, I'd rather give my clothes to Sally Ann and throw Harold in the fridge. Actually, I did want to show you something else you can do with a fridge. You can turn a fridge actually into a fishing boat. But we are a little short of time, so I'm just going to say, remember, if the women don't find you handsome, they should at least find you handy. If you want to do the fishing boat thing, you just knock off both doors, flip her over on its back, put a 20 horse on the back, throw your bait into the meat keeper, and you're gone. This week on Handyman Corner, I'm going to show you how to turn your home into a castle by using fancy decorative trim. Because almost every castle that I've ever seen, the pictures, you know, have always had fancy trim on the outside, up the walls and across the tops and inside as well. And 90% of that fancy trim is made with plaster, and that's something that peasants like you and me can do. What I have here is a bag of plaster of Paris, but the instructions are in English too, you know. Not that any handyman I know would ever think to reading instructions, you know. But we mix that up and just goes in with water, I think. I suppose you could use turps on this if you're in a hurry. That seems about right. Nice and pourable. Okay, now we're going to need something to use as a mold. What I want to make here is some sort of a round decorative, maybe a flower design or something like that, to go on either side of the fireplace. I think it'll look real sharp. So something, maybe yeah, here we go. I like using hubcaps. You know, I particularly recommend big 3, mid to late 60s. You know, they're a real sharp looking unit. Just put that down there and we just put our plaster right in there. Oh. Well, I guess the plaster of Paris sets a little faster than I thought it did, huh? Well, maybe I'll just take a look at those instructions and we'll whip up another batch. Okay, well, according to the box, once you mix it up like this, it sets in about 10 minutes. So I better get right on that. So I'll just put this right into my hubcap. Okay. Boy, maybe I made a little too much here. I wish I had all 4 hubcaps, and I would have if the guy had parked longer. Oh, wait, here we go. I don't have much time here. I can sort all that stuff out later. What do I got left? About 8 minutes, 8.5 minutes, something like that. All right, what else? Excuse me. All right, I got a garbage can lid here, and I don't know quite what that is. Oh, that's a goalie's mask. That would be ideal. Shovel, army helmet. 6 minutes, 5 minutes, what do I got left? Oh, okay. 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 Oh, 5 minutes. 5 minutes left. Okay, I think it should be dry about now. Just check it. No, I guess I could use a few more minutes. Okay. Just put a little time in there waiting for the plaster to set. Okay. We should be in good shape now. All right. All right. Well, by golly. I think we got her. Look at this. Look at this. I'll just take that off there real easy. Is that attractive? What does that say to you? Does that say money? Does that say rolling in money to you? Put that up on. You know what that looks like? It's one of those classic drama things they have. They have tragedy, you know, and they got don't tragedy this way, and the comedy, and then you could put this one, which would be shut out, or could make a dandy clock. Put the hands right on the nose, and we got her. Oh my God! Oh. Take a look at that, be still my heart. Isn't that a beauty? Now that could also be a clock. I would put that clock, I'd put that clock anywhere. I'd put that right on the front of my car. That is a beautiful, beautiful thing. And, well, here's another thing. We're in the kind of a clock motif here. How about this? That's a sundial. Huh? Oh, and the only other thing is, these here are more of a, I guess they're more of a fun, more of a training, not really something big enough to make a clock out of. A watch? You can make a watch out of these. Maybe I'll make watches for all your friends. Yeah? So this is obviously the perfect kind of hobby for anybody who cares what time it is. Remember, till next time, the women don't find you handsome. They should at least find you handy. This week on Handyman Corner, we're going to talk about recycling. Now, we got an old car here that ordinarily would be ready for the dump, or as we call it at the lodge, the mall. But instead of just rolling this into a ravine or burying it somewhere or trying to sell it on that home ripoff channel, we're going to show you how you can do a little recycling and turn this old car into a whole house full of fine furniture. For example, there's a couple of good-looking seats in there. And now what we have is a real nice living room couch. And the back seat here becomes, of course, a matching love seat. Finally, a love seat with proof. And you know, there's other stuff that you can get out of a car. Like, I look over here and I say, well, by golly, there's a couple of nice lamps there. And how about this bumper? Wouldn't that make it just an excellent fireplace grill? You know, if you like Scandinavian furniture, you could do this with, say, a Volvo or a Saab. Or if you wanted lawn furniture, use a Lada. Well, is this cozy or what? I got the headlights hooked up here and got the jumper cables running across to the battery. And what you can do is hook up a high beam switch and fire on to high beams when you want to read the TV guide. And here's another bonus that you get. You hang this on your front door, and you got yourself a really unique, interesting doorbell. And you know, you're thinking, wouldn't a little music go good now? Well, how about the car radio? You're going to throw that thing out and come to a built-in stereo system with built-in speaker. Take a look at that. We get Bruce Thompson to lie down and wedge his head between those and put on some clogging music. He practically kicks the walls down. That's a great setup. We got lots of seating for everybody, and we got the great fireplace set up here with the bumper and so on. But to me now, it just screams for a coffee table. Something that you can put the TV converter on the odd time when you do actually set it down. So let's get ourselves a coffee table. Now, to me, the roof would make an ideal coffee table. So step one is to remove the roof. Actually, that's the only step. Now you can use a saw with that, or one of those electric knives, or what have you, or just wait till it rusts off. But I don't have that kind of time, so I like using the oxyacetylene cutting torch. And these, to me, I've been messing with these for years, and they're a very effective tool. But you got to protect your eyes, of course. I think I started using these when I was around 10, 11, 12, 13. I guess I was around 6 or 7 years old. That's not working too good, so I got a lighter here, and I'll just get that going. Boy, you can sure smell that acetylene. Where's the torch? Where is that torch? All right, that's got her. Oh, here she comes now. Free delivery. And I think you're gonna throw this stuff out, huh? So remember, until next time, the women don't find you handsome. They should at least find you handy. This is great, isn't it? You know, with Buster Hatfield being robbed and all, I thought I would take this week's Handyman Corner and show you how you can make your very own home security system using common household appliances. I'm guessing you probably don't have infrared motion sensor and a silent alarm sitting there in your sock drawer. But I bet a bunch of you have, say, a toaster and possibly even one of these dartboard units. And you can combine these things to make a foot-activated anti-theft pain device. Burger steps on this. He's toast. The only problem is Bernice and I are such heavy sleepers that a burger is going to have to come actually right up into the bedroom and take our pillowcases or our pajamas or our sheets or some of those devices that Bernice keeps in the end table before we'll ever notice that he's there. So I'm going to show you how to make an anti-theft alarm device that will be triggered anytime a burglar or Jimmy's open a door or even a window. But to do that, you're going to need some of the larger household appliances. A stove, a fridge, and a television set. All right, first of all, from the stove, we need this. The buzzer from the cake timer. Now, that's not loud enough yet to scare a burglar, but it will be once we hook it up to the speaker from the television set. And from the refrigerator, we need this. the pressure-sensitive light switch that activates the light. All right, now you want to remove each of those things from each of the 3 appliances. All right, getting these parts out is going to take a little longer than I thought, so why don't you get back to the show and I'll just kind of get them out of here. All right, I finally got the components out of the 3 appliances. Would have been a lot easier if somebody hadn't stolen my screwdriver. Anyway, now I can show you how to assemble these 3 things into your very own home security system. All right, now I'm just using this chest and the lid of it as kind of an example of how you'd rig up a door. I got the pressure-sensitive switch from the fridge down here, hooked into where the door closes, and that wiring goes up through the stove buzzer, which is now wired into our television speaker. So when a burglar comes in, say a door or a window, whatever you got rigged like this, all of a sudden, whoa! You're gonna hear that. That'll wake you up dead, that one. And then you can call 911 or sick your dog on there or go down there and start throwing baseball bats at the guy, whatever you want to do. And that way you get to protect your jewels or your, I guess that's a fridge and a stove, a television set, whatever. So remember, women don't find you handsome. They should at least find you handy. Man. This week in Handyman Corner, I'm going to show you something festive and decorative that you can do to your patio. You know, the patio up here at the lodge has not been looking all that great since we did that experiment to find out whether or not hydrogen is flammable. But you know, I think we can bring her right back up to snuff here by making our very own patio lanterns. And they're real easy to make and kind of fun. For starters, you have your Christmas lights, which are probably hanging up at your house all summer long anyhow. So why not double up with those? All you need is some of those plastic containers. You might find 2 or 3 in the garbage. Now, I just picked these out of today's garbage up here at the lodge, and they are a little dirty. I would suggest you just let that mung just kind of dry on there and then pick it off with your thumbnail. I tried to clean one of them in the dishwasher. You know, there's a heater unit in those dishwashers, and that thing just shriveled up there like a... Well, you guys know what I'm talking about. Anyway, what you want to do is pick out one of the containers that seems the appropriate size and shape to make a patio lantern out of. Something like that, for example. And then you want to see, well, let's see which way would we hang that. Well, I think that kind of a look's kind of like a big plastic teat on there. Just outside the sun porch door there, that would look good. Then what you want to do is you want to cut an X in the bottom. You can use a carpet knife for that. I have a carpet knife in my pocket. All right, someone didn't put the blade away before they put that in my pocket. Now what you want to do here is you want to cut an X and cut it about 2 inches. Or if you're dealing in centimeters, you want to cut enough centimeters that it's 2 inches. Okay. Okay, now we got our X, and then you just put the bulb right in there, and it's kind of a friction fit, and that's really on there. That really helps. All right, you just do that for all of them. The cutting thing, not the slapping yourself in the face thing. Unless if you want to slap yourself in the face, I would help you. Okay. By golly, that smarts. All right, that's 2. It's taking a little longer than I thought. Well. Oh. All right, there's actually an easier way than the carpet killer to punch the holes in these things. This would be with a power tool. Let's see if this works a little better. I think so, yeah. Get the old bleach bottle here. Oh. Throw that one out. Another thing you can do with a power tool is you can kind of save a little bit of time. All righty, well, we'll start to get a few more going here, and the next step will be to take our containers and stick the Christmas lights through those. I'll get a hammer and just tap those on. And by the time I finish getting everything rigged, I think it's going to be dark enough to show you how this really looks. Now you tell me, who wouldn't want to have that hanging around their house, huh? Harold, kill the lights there a minute. Right? Look at that. Good friend, good fun, good food, and margarine tubs. You know, I think this is the greatest recycling decorator's idea since cutting tires in half, painting them white, and putting them up the sides of your driveway. Oh well. Until next time, remember, if the women don't find you handsome, they should at least find you handy. Jeez, I can't find anything. Harold, throw the lights back on, will you? Oh, geez. Thank you, Harold. This week in Handyman Corner, we're going to show you something you can do with some of those beer bottles you got lying around the garage or down the basement or whatever. I found these bottles in the cushions of the couch. Now, ordinarily, I would just throw these out or take them back for a refund, but I'm going to show you how you can make yourself a darned interesting clock. Now, the first thing you're going to need is something big and flat to hold all the mechanism for the clock. Excuse me a minute. I suggest a fridge door for the timeless look of white enamel. And you're also going to need an electric motor like this one to feed the bottles into the clock. And you're going to need a work glove. Just one. That's going to help feed the bottles as well. So you just need one, you can sell the other one to the neighbor's kid, and he can go out and be a rock star. Now, you got to soak this thing in a solution made up of mercury, lacquer, rubbing alcohol, gasoline, and paint stripper. Or as we call it, Possum Lake. There we go. Once she's dry, she's as hard as a brick. And then you stick the glove onto a 1x3 or a 2x2 or whatever size piece of wood you find when you're over at your neighbor's garage selling his kid the other glove. You know, that would make a dandy little back scratcher. Or lower, you know. Or a panhandler could use this, could work both sides of the mall at the same time. But we're going to use it to pick up the beer bottles and to roll them into the fridge door. So what we got to do now is connect this to our electric motor. Just stick it on there, you'll have a little hole in there, and you can just drop a nail through and then bend her over. Or I guess you could use a cotter pin if you're made of money. And now what you do is line her up. So it's going to go right into the fridge door, and I think we're looking pretty good. Why don't we put a beer bottle in the glove and give her a try. There we go. Now, as soon as I plug the motor in, that should just lay that bottle in there as nice as you please. Yeah, okay, that works. That works excellent. It's just maybe just a tad fast, so we'll slow the electric motor down, which is easy to do. You just open them up and you can just start cutting windings until your wrist gets tired. Or, yeah, why don't we just hook her up to one of these household dimmers? Perfect. All right, now you may have to jimmy around with the dimmer to get the motor down to exactly 1 revolution per minute, Greenwich time, AM. But once you do, by golly, you're all set up. And here's how she works. The glove now is going to pick up the beer bottle from the basin. That's our supply. And in exactly every minute, right on the button, she brings it over, drops the beer bottle right here onto our top shelf, which is our minute shelf. And that carries on until you get 9 bottles on there. On the 10th bottle, the weight all changes, and she swings down, and 9 of the bottles drop into the eaves trough and carry right on back into the basin for a supply again. But the 10th bottle goes into the 10 minutes area, so that's now 10 minutes, and then that kind of repeats itself, and now what happens is you build up until you have, I guess, 8 on the, no 9, not 10. 10 minutes on the 10, 10 on the 10 minute, and then into the hours and down and around, and just, it's like clockwork. And the beauty of this machine is that whenever you want to know what time it is, you just take a look over at your fridge beer bottle clock, And you add up the minutes. Well, you got 4 there, so that's 4 minutes. Plus you add up the tens. We got 3 tens. And then we got 1, 2, 3, 4 hours. So you put them all together, and that means that it's exactly... time for a beer.